Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mary Grace M. Villaruz, a faculty of Palawan State University and a Master of Educational Management graduate of Western Philippines University. Before the savage presence of COVID-19, two of the major issues in education here in the Philippines were about indigenous education and impact of K-12 curriculum. So allow me to present our study entitled Mother Tongue-Based Multilingual Education of Indigenous Peoples Learners in Southern Palawan, Philippines. The Department of Education began implementing the K-12 basic education curriculum in the school year 2012 to 2013 with a mother tongue-based multilingual education as the government's banner program of alleviating illiteracy in the country. And that's through DepEd Order Number 16 Series of 2012, known as the Guidelines on the Implementation of the Mother Tongue-Based Multilingual Education. It is seen as a great opportunity for the indigenous pupils in the Philippines to have maximum participation in the teaching and learning process that will lead to their success, for they will be using a language that they are familiar and comfortable with. The study aimed to identify the following. First, the socio-demographic profile of the indigenous peoples learners of Southern Palawan in terms of age, gender, number of siblings, dialect spoken at home, ethnicity, residency, family structure, and family income. Second, the demographic profile of the grade 3 teachers of Southern District of Palawan in terms of educational background and length of service. Third, the level of academic performance of the learners in core subjects using the following mediums of instruction: mother tongue, Filipino, and English. Fourth, the challenges encountered by the grade 3 teachers of Southern District of Palawan. Fifth, if there is a significant relationship between the demographic profile of the learners and their academic performance. And sixth, if there is a significant relationship between the learner's academic performance and use of the following mediums of instruction: mother tongue, Filipino, and English. This study was guided by John Piaget's cognitive development theory, where he cited that there were 4 stages of human development, with which reveals that effective learning begins with the second stage when a child starts learning through experimentation. For this very reason, it is so vital that in the early grade, indigenous learners should be taught using the language of their own so that there will be a smooth transition of learning from home to school. It is also anchored on the second language acquisition theory of Kamen, specifically the thresholds theory, which posits the relationship between cognition and bilingualism. It implies that the more developed the first language is, the easier it will be to develop the second language, which will lead to a child's better academic performance. The study was conducted to 7 schools on the southern part of Palawan with dominant enrolled indigenous pupils. Data were analyzed with the use of frequency distribution, mean and standard deviation, chi-square, Pearson product moment correlation coefficient, and Sloven's formula. The study instigated on February 2020 and was concluded on November of the same year. After data had been gathered and analyzed, the following results were found. Table 1 shows that learners were mostly of 8 to 10 years old, which implies that they were in the appropriate age for their grade level. Because in the basic education policy of the Department of Education, the minimum age requirement for grade 1 is 6 years old. Majority were males, had 3 to 6 siblings, which means that they belong to big families, spoke Palawan at home because they were raised by Palawan parents, belonged to the Palawan tribe, which means that they grew up in the unique customs, beliefs, and culture of Palawan, residents of Barangay Amas, which implies that they live in highlands and had limited access to new trends and information because Barangay Amas is situated at the foot of the mountain. Belong to a nuclear family with parents and siblings living with them, which signifies that they were residing with the core members of the family with large households, and had a family income of less than 10,000, which means that they belong to the less privileged families and were deprived of basic needs because according to National Economic Development Authority, the average Filipino household needs 42,000 pesos a month to live a good life. Table 2 reveals that teachers teaching grade 3 in South Palawan were mostly college graduate with less than 10 years in service, which implies that a majority of them had limited experience in handling diverse learners, for they were just new in the field of teaching. This also means that they had limited knowledge about the language, beliefs, and culture of Palawan people because they were with them for only a short period of time. Table 3 shows that majority of the pupils got scores of below 6 in 3 different mediums of instruction and did not meet expectation level of academic performance. This was because they did not have a good foundation of the subject due to the fact that the lessons were taught to them using a mother tongue that was very different from what they were using and which they hardly understood. There was no smooth transition of learning from home to school, for they were taught by their parents of the basic knowledge and skills at home using Palawan, but they were taught in school using Tagalog. Table 4 reveals that majority of the learners got low scores of below 6 and did not meet expectation level of academic performance in mathematics because they did not have a strong foundation of the subject, due to the fact that the lessons in mathematics were taught using Tagalog instead of Palawan, since it was the medium of instruction used by parents to teach the basic numerical literacy at home. Table 5 shows that most of the learners got low scores of below 6 and did not meet expectation level of academic performance because they had a shallow understanding of the subject matter. This was because they were taught using Tagalog instead of Palawan. Table 6 reveals that most of the teachers had difficulty in dealing with learners' individual differences, interests, and needs, as well as integrating mother tongue-based multilingual education to other subjects because they were not aware of the community's beliefs, culture, and language. This is because they belonged to a different ethnicity and were not residents of the barangays where they were deployed to teach. Table 7 shows that there is no significant relationship between the learner's demographic profile and their academic performance, except for gender, which means that a pupil's age, number of siblings, dialect spoken at home, ethnicity, residency, family structure, and family income had nothing to do with their performance, for it was due to the learning foundation that they had. Tables 8 to 10 reveal that a significant relationship existed between the learner's academic performance in science and medium of instruction, the learner's academic performance in mathematics and medium of instruction, and between the learner's academic performance in languages and medium of instruction in terms of mother tongue. But there is no significant relationship in terms of Filipino and English. After analyzing the results, the following conclusions were made. First, the performance of the learners was not affected by age, number of siblings, dialect spoken at home, ethnicity, residency, family structure, and family income. Second, girls perform better than boys. Third, the learner's academic performance in science and mathematics was influenced by the medium of instruction except in language subjects, which was not influenced by Filipino and English as mediums of instruction. And fourth, the performance of the respondents in core subjects differs in terms of the mediums of instruction used, except for mathematics, but all were low because they had weak foundation. Based on the findings, the following are hereby recommended. First, administrators and policymakers should be strict on implementing localization in the hiring of new teachers in order to deploy appropriate educators in the community who will understand, will relate, and will help indigenous people's learners to achieve their dreams and aspirations and should strengthen the foundation of the learners by considering Palauan as one of the mother tongues used as medium of instruction to effectively enhance the cognitive abilities and skills of the indigenous learners. Second, teachers should pursue graduate study and educate themselves about the culture of Palawan tribe by residing in the community, observing their practices, and learning their language to effectively cater the needs of their Palawan pupils and help them build a strong foundation of learning. Thank you, and may God bless us all.